Hello and welcome back to Talk Data to Me. I am your host, Shahana Muhammad, your expert navigator through the crossroads of technology, economics, and culture. And guess what, guys? It is day one of Black History Month, and I'm so excited. Round of applause, round of applause. And today, we've got a monumental episode for you. We are breaking down the latest World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos and what global leaders are talking about, what's at stake for the future of work, AI's role in our economy, digital identity, and digital currencies, and why all of this matters to every listener, no matter your background. Plus, in honor of Black History Month, I got to do it. We'll spotlight a transformative figure whose work underpins much of today's technological innovation. So let's get right into it. So, what is the World Economic Forum if you are not familiar? Before we unpack this year's meeting, let's answer the basics. The World Economic Forum is a Swiss based international institution that brings together heads of state, CEOs, academics, and thought leaders to discuss global issues, from economic policy and climate to health, technology, and geopolitics. So it's not a decision-making body like the UN, the United Nations, but it sets the tone for global conversations and frameworks that governments and corporations often adopt. Not for nothing, what they say here at these meetings usually does go into effect. So it's not that like the governing body situation, but it is a governing body. People pay attention because where leaders meet, priorities are set, and those priorities ripple into law, investment, infrastructure, jobs, and innovation worldwide. And that's what we're seeing. So this year's meeting took place January 19th through the 23rd, 2026 in Davos, Switzerland. Now, a record number of political leaders, CEOs, and global influencers gathered under the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue. So here are 4 key takeaways that are very, very relevant to the coming times. So AI is not just a tech topic. We know that here at Talk Data to Me. It is an economic tsunami. Leaders warned that artificial intelligence is transforming and disrupting labor markets. So AI could transform 60% of jobs in advanced economies and 40% globally in the coming years. Now, this means everything from automation to augmented work and the need for workers to reskill quickly. But we know that here at Talk Data to Me. Now, the other thing is human-centered AI at work. Discussions emphasize AI as a tool to amplify human creativity and judgment, not just replace workers. Bellwether reports from WEF highlight that workforce resilience, communication, and upskilling are central to success in an AI-infused world. So number 3, the third takeaway is jobs in the future of work. Frontier technologies like AI, robotics, and automation are reshaping roles faster than organizational systems can adapt. Now, multiple scenarios were outlined for how the global workforce might evolve by 2030. So everything is just speculative at this point. But, like I said, and I always say, they're building those infrastructures out. They're testing things out in other locales within the world, and they're seeing how it works, right? And in doing that, they know what they can and cannot implement here in the United States. So the last takeaway is that digital economy realities are coming fast. Regulators and innovators are wrestling with blockchain, stablecoins, CBDCs, and that's the central bank digital currencies and digital identification systems, all designed to modernize financial infrastructure. So, here was something that sounds so great and so amazing until you realize that you're not able to move around as freely because your resources are limited, your funds are limited. And what is that? The universal work week. Now, this is coming from someone who works 5 days a week. I work full time, and honey, I am usually worn out by the end of the day. Okay. So in theory, a 2-day work week sounds amazing. When I zoom out and I look at everything connected to a 2-day work week, look at bills and responsibilities and things that I need to do and want to do, you cannot sustain off of only working 2 days. Trust me, I've tried to do it and it just doesn't work. Now, this is still kind of talks. This wasn't definitively discussed. So what I will say is this. So global pilots of shorter work weeks, such as 4-day models, have been explored in other countries. Productivity gains, worker well-being, and reduced burnout are cited as benefits of shorter weeks without loss of pay. So that is cool. That would be great. But now, what World Economic Forum highlights is that as AI takes on routine tasks, societies could revisit how we structure work, shifting focus from hours worked to value generated. AI's impact on jobs is central to these conversations, though no global mandate exists as of yet. Instead, we're seeing frameworks and dialogues about work redesign, reskilling, and job creation through technology. So rather than a universal rule, think of it as a global conversation about the structure of work, especially as AI changes what work is. So I did read that somewhere. This is all I say. Ask questions. Things sound good. They sound great. Like I said, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who works 40 hours and you're probably tired depending on what you do. By the end of the day, a 2-day work week sounds amazing. Honestly, I'm okay with working however many hours, especially when I'm working on something that I thoroughly enjoy and I love doing. I love working the job that I work. I really do enjoy it. Obviously, it's not perfect. There are things about it that I don't like. But so another theme at Davos 2026 and beyond is the rise of digital identity systems. And these systems are already being tested out in other countries, just so you know. And digital currencies, especially central bank digital currencies. So digital identities, leaders are exploring identity wallets and digital IDs as tools to reduce fraud, protect security, and streamline global digital access. These systems tie your identity to secure digital wallets, potentially replacing outdated usernames and passwords. Sounds legit, right? This technology can enable faster access to service, stronger fraud protection, and interoperability across platforms. But it raises serious questions about privacy, governance, and control. So digital currency, before I make that statement, about digital currency, again, ask questions. So digital currency, through innovatives like the Digital Currency Governance Consortium, the World Economic Forum is helping guide discussions on how digital currencies should be governed globally, especially as central banks experiment with CBDCs and private stablecoins. Now, this is arguably one of the most disruptive global economic conversations today because it touches money itself, how it's issued, transacted, and regulated. So why this matters to you? You might be thinking, why should I, a listener, care about WEF discussions? Here's the kicker. Policy influences markets. Markets influences jobs. Jobs influence lives. The conversation happening in Davos feed into frameworks that influence national policy debates, shape technology regulation, impact educational priorities, and affect investment flows, and determine how economies adapt to technological change. So, to put it simply, this stuff filters down into everyday life, from CV requirements to your digital footprint. It does make a difference. So, here's my favorite part of today's episode: the Black History Month spotlight, which is on Dr. David Harold Blackwell. Now, today is the first day of Black History Month, and there's no better figure to highlight than Dr. David Harold Blackwell. Who was Dr. David Harold Blackwell? Dr. David Harold Blackwell was an African American mathematician and statistician whose work helped shape game theory, probability, statistics, dynamic programming, and fields we now know view as foundational to modern computing and AI. He was the first African American inducted to the National Academy of Sciences, the first African American tenured full professor at the University of California, Berkeley, and only the seventh African American in U.S. history to earn a PhD in mathematics. Now, his work, particularly the Rao-Blackwell theorem, remains pivotal in a statistical theory and machine learning. That means Blackwell's mathematical brain helped lay intellectual groundwork for the data science and AI revolution we are currently living through. So, amaze sauce. And to honor his legacy in 2024, NVIDIA named an advanced AI-focused chip architecture Grace Blackwell, a symbolic bridge between his theoretical contribution and today's AI hardware innovations. Blackwell's story is a powerful reminder of how Black scholars have shaped the intellectual core of the technologies defining the 21st century. So, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk Data to Me. If you enjoyed this episode, I would like for you all to comment Blackwell. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, comment Blackwell. If you found anything helpful, comment Blackwell. Any reason for you to comment Blackwell, comment Blackwell. Share this episode with someone curious about AI's future, the global economy, or the stories behind the innovators shaping our world. Join us next time as we continue to decode the forces shaping the digital age through data, history, and insight. Until next time, keep questioning, stay informed, stay curious, and always talk data to me.